10-20 grams of chips and some slag left over. So we'll get these all crushed up and see if we can get them panned out just with a gold pan and see if there's any precious metals or lead BBs or anything left in there that might be of value. When you pour the material into this cone mold, when it's molten, the very dense material goes down to the bottom of the cone and all the slag floats on top. But all your precious metals and your lead collects down the bottom of the cone here. And then only the glass and the flux and the slag stay on top. So you have two parts. You have the slag on top and then the metal on the bottom. And a little tap of the hammer separates the metal from the slag. And we have our lead and precious metal button. So we'll just take it, let it cool down some and see what color it is. You can see some of that iron oxide junk around the edge of the cupel. And so what I might do is I might wait till this cools, pull it out. So there's our button. It's real silvery actually, surprisingly. I was hoping for gold, but we may have enough base metals in there that I'm going to get it weighed and then recupel it again.
It's hot.
Separates the big particles, but it can also separate the smaller ones, the smallest particles being those of ½ an inch. The adjustable angle setting of the magnet rotor makes the eddy current separator suitable for almost all materials. The separation coverage for the valuable particles is horizontally and vertically adjustable. This way it is easy to achieve the best possible separation. The eddy current separator is built according to the eccentric magnet rotor principle. This technique prevents the weld penetration of the iron particles on the magnet rotor.
I have a customer coming up here shortly to run some circuit boards through our recycling system. And I wanted to walk you through the system first and show you how it all works. So the first part of the system is our 24 by 16 inch hammer mill. Here's a look at the inside of the hammer mill. You can see the screen down below. They're 1/2 inch by 3.5 inch slots, so the boards have to grind up small enough to get down in through those slots. Here's the rotor assembly, and the hammers are just on pins there. We use for some other recycling. So all the metal rolls up into little balls, and as soon as they reach 1/4 inch and smaller, they can come out of the screen, and the plastic as well. And by doing this, your throughput doesn't suffer, and the metallic material, even in balls, can come across the table and down into the high grade stuff. All the metals and dense material are going to come across the table this way, right up under the water bar, and down to the number 1 and the number 2 high grade. There's going to be a large band of base metals that come down here into the middlings. The plastic and fine fiberglass goes down into the tailings, but there's a sump in the bottom there that pumps it up into the hydrocyclone. Here's looking down into the hydrocyclone. And the premise here is the sump from the tailings pumps up and discharges here, starting a swirl around the bottom of the hydrocyclone. The dense material stays in the bottom and goes down this hole with the water and back into the hammer mill for regrinding. And only the lightest material are carried up in the column of water and go down the center hole here, and that's the true tailings. This is really similar to a blue bowl for separating fine gold from black sand. These light plastic sheets over the shaker table top because some of the fine copper was actually floating on the water surface, and so we've added these plastic sheets to break the surface tension and force the copper wire underwater, which then allows it to come across into the number 1 and number 2 on the shaker table. And you can see here when I lift up the plastic sheet, the copper actually floats on the surface of the water down into the number 3. And so the plastic sheet we used actually did a really good job of breaking that surface tension and allowing all that metal to come over into the number 1 and number 2. This is the material here once it had been fully liberated through the granulator, and you can see it's 100% clean copper. The shaker table actually did a really good job on this material with 100% clean copper.
So as I said before, this is garbage material we were putting through it, so I don't really expect much, if anything, in gold. Some of the rocks did come from some mine sites, but they weren't necessarily good rocks from those mine sites. So anything we get in here for gold is actually a surprise. We're keeping the good stuff for once we get everything tuned up just right. And I realized that a lot of those glitters that I saw in there had a yellow tinge to them. So I just pushed all the yellow to one spot, and sure enough, it is microscopically fine. Let me refocus my camera so I can see it. So as I said, this is garbage material. And there it is. We got fine gold in here. Like, this is crazy fine gold.